Imagine for a moment, what would it be like to get paid an extra $10,000 a month? Just $10,000 a month. What would it be like to take your ideas, to see the light bulb go off in someone's eyes and see the transformation in their life and their business over and against that which they paid you? What would it be like to build your business around your life and not the other way around? Hi, my name's Ed Rush, and today on the Bunker Bash, I'm going to be sharing the top ways to stop trading dollars for hours and start getting paid what you're worth. It's something that I've been teaching now for almost 10 years with incredible success, and you're watching the Bunker Bash. All right, hey, welcome everybody. My name is Ed Rush, 5-time #1 best-selling author and your host for the most positive place on the planet for insanely implementable ideas. Today, we're going to roll up our sleeves and talk about ways that you can make more money, help more people, and take more time off simply with your ideas. I'm going to be giving you strategies that you can use right now. Actually, you can use right from your bunker so that you can help more people and see the smile on their face. But I want to take you back to 2008. In 2008, I was doing some speaking at a local business group. It was about 25, maybe 30 people. One of the members came up to me afterwards. His name was Henry, and Henry came up and said to me, "Ed, my partner and I would like you to come in and help us with a new offer that we're creating." And so they were creating this new offer. This guy that he was working with was a person in the hypnotism world, and they had a new meditation program that they wanted to launch out to the masses. Now, at this point, full disclosure, I had never done a single round of consulting ever before, okay? So they came up and he said, I'd like to pay you for a day of your time so that you can come in and, and help our business. And I said, well, look, I had a very simple rule at that time that I still live by today. And the rule goes like this, it's worth writing down. It says, if anyone wants to give you money, you let them, okay? So Henry came up to me and said, we'd like to pay you for a day of your time. And I said, well, Henry, I'd like to let you do that. And then he said, the question that you'll always get right after this, which is, how much will that be? Now, I hadn't charged anything for my day at that point, and so I just made up a number. I said, well, Henry, listen, I usually charge $5,500, but for you, buddy, I'll just only charge you $2,500. And he said, I'll take it. All right. So I realized, first mistake, say the first number and then don't say anything after that. Now, at that point, I went to go deliver this day. And I'm going to tell you a little bit later in today's show how that went and the importance behind how that went. But needless to say, it went well. And the next weekend, Henry and his partner went out and sold, check it out, $189,000 worth of the product that I helped them create in their office in Solana Beach. Now, the reason I tell you that story is because some of you, when I talk about sharing your ideas and getting paid for it, there's that little inner voice. We're going to talk a little bit today about that inner voice. There's that little inner voice that comes in and says, nah, you know what, no one's going to pay you, and you don't have anything that can help people, and there's no way that you could actually go out there and change the world with your ideas. And it's time for that little inner voice to go away, okay? So today we're going to start talking about what it takes mentally to go charge what you're worth. And I'm going to talk today, by the way, about $5,000, $10,000, and $15,000 deals. So we're not starting small. Then I'm going to get into the strategies on actually how to get paid what you're worth. But before I do that, as usual, I just want to say hello to our friends in chat. If you're watching on YouTube, boom, that's right over here. If you're on Facebook, boom, it's right down here. If you're on Instagram Live right here, I just want to say hello to you and just honor you for coming here. If you want to jump into chat on YouTube, then it's www.edrush.com. Does anybody use the www anymore? edrush.com/bunkerbash. Say hello to some of our friends. What's up, Dr. Thomas Ashton? Good to see you. Hello, Dennis Bauer and fellow bashers. Full steam ahead. What's up, Oz? Good to see you, pal. Wendell. Hello from Houston. Sheltering in place. Hello, Sally. Welcome, John Teague. Jim Butts. Cherie, as usual. Barry. Robert and Diana. Excited to hear the wow. All right, cool. 3 a.m. down under. Where did I just miss you? Nabi, where are you at? Oh, I think I just clicked the wrong one. Hang on a second. Dean, what's going on? hey, you're all saying hello to each other. I love it. Gissy from Germany. David Zetz. This is the insanely implementable idea that motivated me to quit my one-on-one personal training business. Now I get paid to work out on their time, not mine. I love it. Scott Mueller, your mortician, is in. Welcome, Bill Protzman. Good to see you, buddy. Right from this very slow Miramar departure path. And there's Russ Gordon. Good to see you, bud. This is interesting. So David Zetz came to one of our trainings. And it was back in 2014. I'm going to give you more of the genesis of that story, but he's an example of somebody who took some information, took it into implementation, and saw some results. Okay, so I'm going to be telling more of the story about that. Hey, David Stoll, good to see you. Busy building the business. I love it. So good to see you. So welcome everybody who just joined us. By the way, if you just joined us, you are here at the Bunker Bash. Today we're talking about how to stop trading hours for dollars and start getting paid what you're worth. And the last part, I think, is one of the most important parts when it comes to you getting paid what you're worth. And that starts with the belief system about what you're worth. In a moment, I'm going to be jumping up on this whiteboard. I've got 3 core areas that we're going to be focusing on today. Number 1, how people get paid. Number 2, strategies for getting paid what you're worth. And then finally, finding a focus area that you can target in on so that you can get paid what you're worth. Now, full disclosure, I've got more than we've got time for today. And so I'm going to do this first segment today. It's going to roll us through about the first 2/3 of the show. Then I'm going to stop and take your specific questions that you want to ask about consulting, advising, or coaching. And then we're going to roll over until Wednesday's show and continue the topic of how to get paid what you're worth. By the way, for those of you who are brand new to the Bunker Bash, tomorrow I've got my friend Michael McIntyre coming in. Mike built a $3 billion business on the back of incredible sales strategies. And Michael's going to come in tomorrow to talk about how to build a billion with a B, billion-dollar business using his billion-dollar sales strategies. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to jump up to the whiteboard. We're going to spend most of our time today on the whiteboard talking through the strategies that are going to help you grow your business and grow your ability to help people, okay? And by the way, this is really important. For those of you who have been waiting for the right time, guess what? Boom, it's time. It's time for you to get your message out there. It's time for you to get your story out there. It's time for you to get your experience out there. And people come up to me quite a bit at events and they say, Ed, what's the fastest way to make another $10,000? And I'm not kidding you when I tell you, that's the number that they say almost every single time. Ed, what's the fastest way for me to make an extra $10,000? And what I usually say is go close a deal. Go close a deal. Just go find someone to pay you to help them in their business, in their life, in their relationships, whatever. And I will tell you that it's a lot easier than you think to charge $10,000. In fact, I would submit to you, and I'm going to explain this in just a minute, I'd submit to you that it's actually easier to charge $10,000 than it is to charge $1,000. And there's a reason for that. We're going to get into it as we go. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about, we'll do this really quickly because I've covered this on previous Bunker Bash sessions, is this: how people get paid, okay? So let me just write the whole thing on there. How people get paid. And this is globally across the entire world, okay? So how do people get paid? And some of you saw an email that I wrote this morning. And by the way, if you're not on my email list, now is the time to do that, okay? Go to edrush.com. You can see that link right back underneath you. Go to edrush.com. Make sure that you put your name and email in. Then you get updates on things like the training we're doing today. Okay, so the first way, and again, I'm going to go through this quickly because I've taught this before on these Bunker Bashes. The first way that people get paid is for what you do. This is about 96% of the world's population gets paid for what you do, okay? And by the way, there's nothing wrong with this inherently. I'm just telling you that as you go towards number 3, you make more money and you work less, okay? So these are folks, for example, that work in potentially a factory, or these are folks who work in computer programming, or these are folks who work for an employer someplace, or these are folks who work maybe building websites or building online funnels, or building advertising mediums or something like that, okay? essentially most of the world is this. And if you're watching, there's a good chance that you're in this category. And again, like I said, there's nothing wrong with this inherently. The only thing about getting paid for what you do is typically, if you're getting paid for what you do, there is a hard limit on what you can get paid for. So for example, if you're getting paid, say $25 an hour, well, you could work 40 hours a week. You could work 80 hours a week, but there is a certain point at which you get hit, 7 days times 24 hours, you run out of time, okay? And you do have to sleep just a little bit. And so there's actually some hard limits that you hit when you get paid for what you do. Now, there are certain people who get paid a lot of money for what they do, but even those people begin to hit hard limits. So you've got folks like, offensive linemen in the NFL who get paid millions of dollars for what they do. Quarterbacks in the NFL, or like my dad works for the Milwaukee Bucks, and some of you have seen Giannis, the Greek Freak. Greek Freak gets paid a lot of money for what he does, but there's still a hard limit for that, okay? So the second one is we're moving up the ladder, in my opinion. The ladder of success actually goes down. The second one is getting paid for what you know. This is about 3.9% of the population right here. Getting paid for what you know, okay? This right here, if we're talking about business, this person up here is called a consultant, okay? That's a person who comes in and does things on behalf of a business. This person right here, this is a coach, or I'd like to use this term, advisor, all right? And this actually, in my opinion, is where the actual money kicks in. There's actual leverage here, okay? For example, I've got a program right now, and this falls into this category, and maybe a little bit of the second one. I've got a coaching program or an advising partner program where I come in and partner with businesses. They pay me a fairly large upfront retainer, usually in the $25,000 range, and then I get a percentage of the company as it grows. And again, the pricing models I will get into. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's going to be Wednesday's show, talking about the pricing models. Okay, so first one, what you do. Second one, what you know. The third one is getting paid for who you are. Okay, now, there was a former Secretary of State, I think it was Secretary of State, named Henry Kissinger. When Kissinger left the White House, what he used to do is he would bring in world leaders and business owners. And the business owners were business owners who wanted, for one reason or another, to get connected to a world leader. So let's say you had a company that you wanted to get access into a certain country, and you needed to connect with that world leader. Well, there's a couple ways to do it. You could get there and try to find that person and try to find someone who knew that person, or you could simply pay someone to make the connection. So Henry Kissinger used to have these dinners, and in the dinners, the business owners would pay him $100,000, $200,000, $250,000 to have dinner, and Henry Kissinger would invite in his friend, the world leader. And they would sit down and have this nice dinner together and get to know each other, and next thing you know, deals would happen. That's, by the way, and look, I know some would have an ethical issue with that, okay? I'm just here to tell you that's getting paid for who you are. In fact, it's actually even more getting paid for who you know, okay? So my point here is this is where the money begins, right here, okay, in the know and are. And so what I'm going to be talking about today, and then in the next Bunker Bash, which is probably going to be on Wednesday, is how to get paid for things that you know and how to get paid for who you are. Now, in general, I'm going to be using two different terms. There's three, actually, that people would use, but I'm going to use two. Number one term I'm going to be using is consultant. The number two term I'm going to be using is advisor. The biggest difference between these two, in my opinion, is you getting paid for what you're doing on behalf of a company, which is perfectly fine, by the way. There's nothing wrong with that. And then you getting paid for what you know. This is you giving your ideas, your input to a business or to a person. By the way, it doesn't have to just be for business related items. It could be about health. It could be about relationships. It could be about mindset. Okay, there's a lot of ways that you can be an advisor. This is getting paid for who you know. Now, interestingly enough, of all of the things that take up my time, so remember when I told you I have a program called my Partner Advisor Program. I had, in my last event, 18 applicants into this program. I took 8 people. Of all the things I do, this is crazy, of all the things I do, this represents about 60 to 70% of my personal income, but it only represents about 5% of my actual time. Because the folks that I work with, they get their idea and go off and implement. So for example, on Friday, I had a call with one of my partner advisor members. She got onto Zoom with me. We had scheduled it for a half an hour, but we had a little bit more to talk about, so we went for about an hour. And I probably won't talk to her for about another month because she's going to be implementing the things that we just did in that hour. Now, She didn't come there because she was trying to get her money out of the retainer. She was coming there because she wanted ideas that she could go off and implement. I always tell my coaching members, look, if you get on with me and we spend 5 minutes and I give you a $1 million idea, it's not the time that matters, it's the value of the time, okay? And that's this category that you're looking at right here. Okay, so if you just joined us, I'm moving fast today, baby, okay? I'm moving fast. So if you just joined us, my name is Ed Rush. This is how to stop trading dollars for hours and start getting paid with what you're worth. I'm gonna jump in and say hello to chat real quick. Boom. Mojo, Ben Farmer, what's going on? Ben, you were actually one of the members of our little coaching group. Good job, guys. Welcome everybody in chat. If you haven't said hello, yeah, that's right. He's got that right. David Zett says, charge more money. Welcome, Bob. Good to see you. All right, so I'm actually going to take you back, and then we're going to get into the next set here, which are the actual strategies. Okay, so this is where you start. If you're looking to get paid for what you know, or if you're looking to get paid for what you are, I'm going to start talking about the strategies. Before I do that, I want to take you back for just a minute. And by the way, if you just, hang on a second, I'm going to get rid of this right here. If you just joined us, my name's Ed Rush. This is how to stop trading dollars for hours and start getting paid with your worth. We're talking about consulting and advising. In a moment, I'm going to start talking about the strategies you can use to start getting people to pay you for your time, for your experience, for your expertise and your knowledge. And then later on in the show, I'm going to be taking your one-on-one questions. Okay, now, I want to take you back to 2014. Remember I said 2018, I sat down with my boy Henry, and Henry said, hey, I'd like to pay you for a day of your time. And I said, Henry, normally that's $5,500, but for you, buddy, because I know you, it's $2,500. Again, I just made that number up, and he said, I'll take it. He and his business partner went out after our consulting day, the weekend after our consulting day, and made a full $189,000 from what we learned. By the way, I learned at that coaching day, it's always nice to have a percentage of the growth of the company, okay? So I should have thought about that, but that was my very, very, very first consulting deal. Okay, so I want to take you back to that consulting day. It was in Solana Beach. I live here in San Diego, so Solana Beach is maybe 30-minute drive from where I'm at, just north on the 5. Now, most of my clients since then come to me, but I went to them to their office. So I'm driving up. I had this old minivan that I was driving at the time, Ford Windstar, driving up 5. And I'm like, I'm getting paid today, baby, $2,500 for my time. And I'm like so excited about the fact that I'm getting paid. And then all of a sudden, as I take the on-ramp, the off-ramp to Solana Beach, OG's is off to the right, gas station's over there. I'm about a mile from this dude's house. And I think to myself, oh, dang, I have no idea what I'm going to do today. Okay, so on the way, I have 1.5 miles to this dude's house. Well, on the way, I said, well, whatever you do, make sure you're in charge. And I walked in and I sat down and I started asking questions. And for about the first hour, I started asking questions. By the time we got done with the questions, I'm like, I'm the right guy for this job, okay? So, little insider tip. If you're nervous, ask questions. In fact, some of you have taken my courses on advising. You'll know I give you a list of like 20 questions to ask. What are you doing right now to get leads? How's that working? What would you like to be doing to get leads? What are you doing right now to get new customers? How's that working for you? What would you like to be doing to get new customers? There's questions you can ask. If you could wave a magic wand, what are the 3 things that you would change in your business? There's just questions that will simply draw out your consulting clients' ideas, and then you can start packaging your ideas along with their ideas and get success. Okay, so consulting, advising is not hard. It's just you sharing out of the wealth of your wisdom and connecting it to a brainstorming session where people can connect to you on their wisdom. And I will tell you that the 2 people coming together, or the groups coming together, you and them, there's something very powerful that happens. And if for some reason the idea of getting paid for your ideas or getting paid for your time is daunting for you, I will tell you, in 2 instances, I got hired by people who were worlds better than me on the topic that they were hiring me on. There was a guy in San Diego who was one of the best internet marketers in the world. At the point at which he hired me, he had already done about 5 multi-million-dollar online product launches. And the truth is, at the time he hired me, I had done none. 0. Started with a Z, rhymed with 0, okay? So he hired me and he brought me in because he knew another set of eyes was simply going to help him do better on the next one. And sure enough, man, he and I went on to do about 7 more of those multi-million-dollar product launches. Some of you know who I'm talking about. There's a speaker here in San Diego, actually up at Solana Beach, come to think of it, whose name is Brian Tracy. Brian brought me in to help him on a specific area of his speaking that he wanted to generate more revenue on. I thought, man, this is crazy. I was 39 at the time. I'm sitting there with Brian Tracy, one of the greatest speakers in the world, and I'm not even close to Brian Tracy. Like Brian Tracy this is Brian Tracy, and I'm like, Ed Rush is down here. And sure enough, over across the table, Brian Tracy's sitting there taking notes. And then I had the honor of coming to an event and watching Brian up on stage doing the things that we worked on in a coaching session. By the way, side point, I learned an amazing amount about humility from a person like Brian, who was willing to take in this young kid and learn because he was always looking for that extra edge. Okay, so if for some reason there's that little inner voice in your head right now that's telling you, I don't really know about this, I'm not sure if I can do this, it's time for that inner voice to shut up, okay? Because I can tell you that inner voice, that is what I call a one deal problem. Okay, so people go, yeah, Ed, but I don't really know what I'm doing, and I don't really know where to start, and I don't really know how to charge, and I'm telling you, that's a one deal problem. The moment the first deal comes, a lot of those problems go away because you start doing the deal and you realize, actually, I really think that apparently I know what I'm talking about, okay? So let's go back to the strategies. By the way, I want to welcome you on Instagram Live. I know I'm over here on the board. That's because I'm looking at this camera right here. If you want to, jump to edrush.com/bunkerbass. That's where the live feed is that you can see directly onto this thing. All right, but I'm trying to make it all work over here. So hopefully you're doing awesome. All right, now on to the strategy. So I've got 3 main things for you getting paid for what you know. Okay, so the first one, and I've already started talking a little bit about the mindset stuff. The first one is for you to own it. Okay, now one of the most important things for you as a consultant or an advisor is this moment right here when someone says, okay, so how much is it? It's that conversation that makes the difference between the great advisors and the not so great advisors. It's what happens in that next minute that makes the difference between you getting paid $2,500 and you getting paid $25,000. And remember, I told you this first deal for me, $2,500. The normal deals for me are in the $25K to $80K range. That's the range that I typically work in now with my clients. The difference between those two has to do with this right here. You need to be able to quote your fee with a straight face, even though you might be nervous, okay? Even though you might be like, oh man, I don't know if I'm gonna, even if you're afraid they're gonna say no, because by the way, little insider tip, they never say no. They never say no. They actually do something worse. The worst thing is this. They just kind of push you off for a while. You ever have that happen where like you're trying to do a deal and someone's like, yeah, we're still thinking about it. And then they never say yes. That's what everybody does who says no. They don't actually say no. It would be better if they did, okay? So the truth is you have to own it. You have to own right here what you're worth. And I know that's hard sometimes because sometimes you haven't actually done the thing that you're offering, but remember what I said, that's a one deal problem. So I'm gonna take you back quickly to that discussion that I had with Henry, and then I'm gonna go back about another year. What happened was I was building at this point some very successful online businesses. And as I was building these, I would go to events, people would have me stand up on stage and share some of my expertise on some of the things that I was doing online. As I started to share those, I would walk to the back of the room and I would stand there after the event break and people would come up to me and say, wow, that was really great. Do you mind if I take you to lunch? They say it the same way every time. They go, do you mind if I take you to lunch so I can pick your brain, okay? And I'd be like, man, that'd be great if you could just take me to lunch so that you can pick my brain. And then I would go to lunch so that they could pick my brain. And while they were at lunch picking my brain, they were writing all these ideas down and then they would take them off and they would do nothing with them because if you don't pay, you don't pay attention, or if you don't pay, you don't pay attention, okay? A little line that I heard Joe Polish say one day, which blew my mind, right? Because if people aren't invested in the solution to their problem, something else is gonna take root. So I would see these people later on at another event 6 months later, And they would be like hiding from me and, oh, sorry, Ed, I never implemented that stuff. And so once I started charging money, I started to see success. And so I told you about the story of 2,500. My fee at that point went up to 5,000 where it actually should have been. And it stayed at 5,000 for my first 26 clients. And I actually started getting clients so quickly that I didn't have enough time to fit everybody in the schedule, especially with the kind of work that I was doing for those clients at the time. And so I went from $5,000 to $10,000 arbitrarily. Now, I didn't change a single thing about what I was delivering. I didn't double it. I didn't 50% it. It kept the same thing, and I went from $5,000 to $10,000. That's it. Just changed the price. I doubled the price. Now, here's the most interesting thing about that. The moment I doubled the price, my clients' success more than doubled. They did better than the $5,000 people by a factor greater than 2. Now I want you to think about this for a second. They didn't get anything more from me. They didn't get more access to me. They didn't get more tools or training from me. They simply paid more. But because they paid more, their nose went to the grindstone harder, and they said, you know what? I'm gonna get my money back out of this program. And it was crazy how much better the 10K people implemented than the 5K people. And I learned a lesson there, which is sometimes you're doing people a favor by charging more. Okay? Because when you charge more, they're like, I'm gonna be serious right now about this. Remember what I said? It may be easier to charge $10,000 than it is charge $1,000. Here's the reason I said that earlier on the show. Because if you charge $10,000, you are attracting a $10,000 person. When you charge $1,000, you're attracting a $1,000 person. And here's the deal. $10,000 people implement. $1,000 people don't. $10,000 people pay attention and they take things into action. $1,000 people kind of like waffle. And sometimes they argue back with you on ideas that they know that they should implement. Okay, so step number 1 is to own it. Now, here's the thing. You don't even need to know more on the topic that you're helping the person with than them. So get it out of your brain that you need to have some sort of level of expertise. You don't. You need to understand how to ask great questions. You need to understand how to listen to the answers to those great questions. And you need to understand how to collaborate. Did you catch that? Okay, so the first one was you need to be able to ask great questions. I gave you a few, when I used to do digital marketing for companies, my questions that I would ask, they started like this. What are you doing right now to get leads? How's that working? What would you like to be doing to get leads? What are you doing right now to get customers? How's that working? What would you like to be doing to get customers? What are you doing right now to get ongoing customers? How's that working? What would you like to be doing? That's 9 questions right there. I would ask, give me the 3 biggest challenges in your business. Then I would ask, what would it feel like to you to get rid of all those 3? Then I would ask, are you willing to invest in a solution to change those? Those are just answers to the questions, okay? So you need to be able to ask good questions. You need to be able to listen to the answers to those questions. I'll tell you, full disclosure, when I go into an advising day with one of my clients, I completely shed any preconceived ideas or solutions that I might have for them. This is a very important step, by the way. I realize that if I come in with ideas ahead of time, I've already done my research on the company and on them, but if I come in with ideas ahead of time, it's interesting. I begin to structure the day so that we can get to my ideas. But if I come in with essentially a blank slate ready to listen, then what I do is I partner with them and wisdom. I bring these 2 things together, and together, remember I said the third one? We collaborate. And when that happens, amazing things happen, okay? I've had business owners sit and talk to me for an hour. I didn't even give them any suggestions, and they said, man, we're really making progress, okay? Because sometimes just talking about things, the ideas begin to bubble up to the surface, okay? So that's the first one. I'm gonna pause real quick and just say welcome. If you just joined us, by the way, my name is Ed Rush. We today are talking about how to stop trading hours for dollars and start getting paid what you're worth. Say hello to a couple of our friends in chat. Oh, Gina, good job. She said she did her first YouTube live stream about 2 hours ago. Boom, and she didn't die. David Z says charge. He's right about that, by the way. Russ, the success of your client's experience will directly affect the perception of the market has of your value and services. Dr. Emma Jean, blessings to you as well. Had an incredible coaching call with her. Check out what she's doing with her team at Integrity Church. Scott said, yes is okay. Man, it's no joke. Yes is fine, no is fine, and maybe, or like, we'll think about it. Yeah, I got some ways to get around that, by the way. Scott says, I don't work for $20 lunches. Man, I like it. All right, cool. So we are back with how to stop trading hours for dollars and start getting paid what you're worth. By the way, if you're watching on Instagram Live, which I see a whole bunch of you are, you're awesome. I'm actually running the show on YouTube right now, and I'm doing this also for you because I thought it'd be awesome to have you here as well. If you want to join and jump into chat on the actual stream, it's edrush.com/bunkerbash. That gets you over to YouTube. So I'm talking about strategies on how to, back to this slide real quick. If you just joined us, my name is Ed Rush. This is how to stop trading hours for dollars and start getting paid what you're worth. We're talking about the strategies of how to get paid as a consultant or an advisor, or in certain cases, a coach. Now, let's go to number 2. The first one is to own it. You have to own the fact that you're worth it. Now, I'm going to show you on number 2 how to actually get people to pay you who don't have a big price resistance, okay? So the first one is mentally, internally own it. You got to get rid of that inner voice that tells you, you know, you should be charging this much, but get rid of it. Shut it down, okay? Now, the second one, and this is actually really important, the second one is to target the right market, okay? Now, there is a misconception amongst new consultants or advisors, and the misconception goes like this. Well, since I'm new, I should probably start with all of the low business owners. I should probably start with the newbies in the topic that I'm consulting on, because I'm not qualified to start working with these people up there, so I'll start with the new people. There is no better way to complete frustration than starting low or starting new, okay? Remember what I said about people not paying you and not paying attention? Well, this is true for this, which if people aren't engaged with you and with your content, they're not going to implement, okay? So take a business owner who's making, say, $500 a month. The most that you're going to be able to charge them is $500 a month, okay? But there's a reason why that person is making $500 a month. Either they have a dysfunctional business or they just started, but either way, they're not a great fit for you, because here's why. Take someone who's making $500,000 a month. You got someone making $500,000 a month and you come in and you go, you know what? I think I can help you multiply your business by 10%. $500,000 a month, 10%, that's $50,000 a month, right? So that person would conceivably pay you $5,000 a month. That's only 10% of what is going to grow, and they could make an extra $6 million this year because you helped them grow just 10%. And it's so much easier to get a yes from the $500,000 a month guy or gal than it is to get it from the $500 a month, because these people are moving fast. These people will just want new ideas. These people want things that can help them grow, and they're more than willing to pay for it. And they've proven over and over again that they're more than willing to pay for it. Okay? So when you're targeting the right market, just remember that typically the best way to go is up, right? So for example, I have an event coming up in Dallas, well, it's probably going to be in June, okay? So many of you already registered for the Ultimate Speaker event. So I went out looking for databases and lists of people in the Dallas area that I could target. In other words, I could send direct mail to, or I could connect with on LinkedIn, or I could do both. And so I went to a company, a list mailing company. I said, give me the names of everyone who describes themselves as a CEO, a founder, or an owner of a company. And the company size has to be $500,000 a year and up. I got 4,200 names in a 50-mile radius of Dallas. And by the way, I maxed it out at 40 million. So it wasn't all the companies. It was owner, founder, or CEO of a company that was $500,000 all the way up to 40 million, and there were 4,200 of them just in the Dallas area alone. Think about how many of them are here in the United States. Think about how many of them are in the world, okay? You could walk, I'm in San Diego right now. You could walk from San Diego to Maine right now on top of business owners who need your help, who want to know some of the easiest things, like Gina just mentioned that you just did your first live stream. Do you know how complicated the first live stream is, even though now that you know it's pretty easy? My point is there's business owners out there, Gina, who would probably pay you to help them get onto YouTube, to get onto Facebook, or to get onto Instagram to potentially stream live, okay? The idea here is to target the right market, which is why one of the first and most important things that you can do right now is to sit down. I don't know how you do this. I use a journal or a little yellow pad of paper, okay? And I start describing exactly what my target market looks like. I just decided to write my 6th book, and I went up to this cabin up in Washington before we all got shut in, and I sat down for a day, and all I did for a day was imagine, who's my ideal customer? I put flip chart pages all across the windows in this room that overlook the ocean, and I covered these things with a description of who my ideal market is. When you can speak to a market like that, you can flat out change the world, okay? So that's the first one, and then I'm gonna come back to the third one right now, and then I'm gonna come in and answer your questions. And so if you have any questions, jump into chat right now and write the word question, and then follow it up with what your actual question is. If you're on Instagram Live, I'm gonna be trying to figure out how to do this on here as well, but right now it's all on YouTube, okay? Number 3 is to understand effective persuasion. Now, I'm using that word on purpose. The reason I'm using this word is because that word, for some reason, people are like, ugh, you know what I mean? You could say communication, influence, effective communication, nobody pushes back on. You say the word persuasion, people are like, I don't really know about that. Because when I say the word persuasion, what happens is people picture, you know, that late night infomercial guy? That's the one people picture, you know, or like some mega church guy that's worth like $80 billion or whatever. That's the thing that people picture. But I'm here to tell you that when it comes to getting people to do things, there's only actually 2 ways. One way is persuasion. The other way is force. Now, when given these 2 options, persuasion is always the better option. Let me describe what I mean. Let's say you have a country. Oh man, I got to be careful with this one, especially right now. Let's take the former Soviet Union. Okay, so let's just not make it about us. I won't even go there. The beach is closed. I know. I was pissed off about that the other day, but that's okay. Okay. Back to this. Let's say you have a country like that. There's 2 ways that a country can get their people to do something. As a leader, you can be persuasive, and you can convince people using right and morals to do something, or you can make them do something, okay? And countries for the last 6,000 years of recorded history have either been using persuasion or force. Now, the great thing about persuasion is you give somebody the option to choose using their logic and also their emotion, which one they want. Now, I'll tell you that when I use persuasion, and for example, like I just mentioned my upcoming event called The Ultimate Speaker. When I use persuasion, I talk about the Ultimate Speaker. I talk about the benefits to coming to the event. I usually give people a good deal who want to come to the event, but I'm not forcing anybody to do something. They can do it or they can't. And even after they sign up, if they want a refund, they can get a refund. It's not a big deal. I just want to make sure that I'm giving great value, okay, and helping people to change the world. That's effective persuasion. Effective persuasion is being able to use your communication in such a way that it has the best chance of success. And by success, you should define success as what's best for the person you're talking to. So in my instance, I was just talking again about this event. I think it's the best thing in the world for somebody to come to this event because it's going to change the way you do everything. That's what I believe, and I have examples to prove that, okay? Later on, next show probably, I'll talk about the thousands of people who I've taught how to be consultants and who are making plenty of money out in the consulting world. And the truth is, some of you are on chat right now, okay? The reason why they ended up coming to a training course is through effective persuasion, not force. So there's 2 ways to do anything. When it comes to getting people to do something, one is persuasion, one is force. Now, remember when I said the question, what are the top 3 challenges you're having in your business right now. Remember I said being a great consultant or advisor a lot of times comes down to how you ask your questions. That's a persuasion question. What are the top 3 biggest challenges you're having in your business? By the way, if you haven't written that one down, write it down. How about this one? If you could wave a magic wand and make 3 problems in your business go away, what would those be? So the average business owner might tell me, Ed, the first thing is we want to attract better leads. We're just not attracting the right kind of leads in our company right now. And the second thing is we'd like to have products being sold outside of our events. In other words, I'd love people to just come to our website and to be able to buy products on our website. And then we would like to have a advisory program at the top end where people are paying us $25,000 or $50,000. So now if I'm using effective persuasion as an advisor, here's what I would tell them. The first thing we're going to work on is solving your lead problem. And the second thing together we're going to work on is solving this product problem. And the third thing is we're going to build together this program so that when you're done, you're going to have the leads who are converting overnight and turning into coaching members so that you can get paid what you're worth. That's asking a good question and turning it into persuasion. Now the business owner decides if they're going to work with me or not, okay? There's only certain rules when it comes to persuasion. Like for example, one of them is do what you say. If you say something, then do it. Number 2, under promise and over deliver. I've literally built my entire business around that. Anyone who's bought any product from me or come to any events knows they get more than they signed up with. As long as you do what you say and under promise and over deliver, you're safe from the late night infomercial guy thing, okay? And you're going to be able to help people, all right? So the first one is own it. Boom, right here, that's in your heart. Say, hey, I got this. The number 2 is targeting the right market. Remember I gave you a little bit of an assignment. Get onto your notepad and write, what is my ideal client? Again, today I've been talking about it in the business context, but in general, you can do this for anything. Relationships, health, dieting, fitness. Look, there's a lot of people who need a lot of help right now on a lot of topics. And then the third one is understanding effective persuasion. All right, so I'm gonna come back to the front camera here for a second. Take a big, deep breath. Hang on. Boom. All right, we are back. So let me just do this really quickly. There is a website that I prepared for you. Some of you have been asking me about my online courses. So what I did was I got my team together. See this website that says edrush.com/EP? If you go to that website, edrush.com/EP, that actually is my secret weapon persuasion course. Okay, I'm gonna show it to you in just a second. But I had my team create this coupon code, which is the number 3030. I thought that would be cool just to give you a little bit of a, here, let me just share my screen and I'll show you what I'm doing. Hang on, you'll see it. And then I'm gonna come and answer your questions. All right, hang on. By the way, if you're on Instagram Live, you can't see my screen, but you can. If you go to YouTube, edrush.com/bunkerbash. Awesome to see so many of you here, by the way. You are amazing. All right, so let me share this really quickly. I think it is shared. So this is this course called The Secret Weapon. I'm not gonna go through it in detail. You can read about it at the page. There's nothing like it, by the way. This is my hallmark course on how to communicate effectively. And we cover everything from one-on-one to speaking to online to offline. I go through some of the most persuasive speeches in the world, Ronald Reagan, Steve Jobs, Winston Churchill, Martin Luther King, Abraham Lincoln, and show you how they were so persuasive. It's not a cheap course, but it is a lot cheaper when you use the coupon code 30. Type that baby in, hit apply, and you get almost $450 off, okay? So it's a good deal if you're interested in it. That is all for you, and I just thought that I would give you a little bit of a break on the price on that, all right? So those are the 3 strategies. Now, the things that I still have to cover, there's 2, and I overestimated what I was gonna be able to teach today. Okay, so on Wednesday, there's 2 things I'm gonna cover. One is pricing. I'm just making some notes for myself. And the second one is the focus area. In other words, people always ask, Ed, if I'm gonna start getting paid for my ideas, my strategies, or my time, where should I focus next? All right, so on Wednesday, so just so you know for this week, what the plan is. Tomorrow, my man, Michael McIntyre is coming in to teach $1 billion sales strategies. On Wednesday, I'm gonna continue this series, How to Stop Trading Hours for Dollars, Get Paid What You're Worth. And I'm gonna talk about pricing strategies and how to focus, or what area to focus on in your consulting. Thursday, just confirmed a special guest named Kevin Freeman. Kevin is a guy that I went to Congress with when he was briefing Congress one day on China, okay? So he is an expert on what he calls economic warfare. And we're going to talk on Thursday about what to do with your money right now. All right, cool. And then Friday is going to be open Q&A. So what a great week we have planned here in the bunker. If you're not subscribed, you better be subscribed. Go to edrush.com. I'll give you some email updates occasionally on the show. All right, so let's do a quick summary and then I'll take your questions. And I see one question. All right, cool. So if you have questions on consulting, advising, or pricing, now's the time to throw it into chat. Otherwise, I'm just going to talk for a little while and then we're going to wrap it up. All right, so where were we? Oh, so quick summary. So I started today by sharing with you the example of my first consulting day, the 5,500 down to 2,500. Then I talked about the first step, which is how people get paid. Remember, the first one is do, the second one is know, the third one is are. The third one was the example of Henry Kissinger. Okay? Then we went into the strategies and we talked mentally about owning your value, targeting the right market, and then understanding effective persuasion. Then I gave you this cool bonus course at 30% off, edrush.com/EP. So if you're interested in that, you can jump in there and grab that and get started learning. And I'll tell you, just it's very simple. If you don't get $1,000 back in the first month in terms of sales, you return it and you get a full refund. In fact, if you don't get $1,000 in new sales in the first month, you can tell me and I'll give you a refund and you can keep the course because it's that good. And I'm telling you, when you get into it, the only rule on that little guarantee I just gave you is you got to actually go through the course. Okay, all right. You can't like shelf help it. You ever heard of shelf help? You can't do that. You got to actually get into it and actually do it. But I'm telling you, man, this stuff will change the way you do everything. It'll change the way you parent, for real. It'll change the way you communicate with your spouse. Oh, I should say this. There's a module in here. I think I got it in here someplace. There's a bonus module called Get Your Mojo Back. This is how to win an argument with your spouse. I literally have an entire module on how to win an argument with your spouse. I also have a Get Your Money Back bonus. 3 times in my life, I've out-negotiated a used car salesman. I'm going to show you how to out-negotiate car salesmen. I'm not kidding when I tell you that. All right, so, back to you. This is the website, by the way. So I want to jump in, see if we've got any questions. Dean says, here, let me get rid of this. What's up, Dean? Good to see you, buddy. Dean says, what are the 3 criteria for targeting the right market? So I'm going to tell you, so Dean, I'm going to do the long version of this in 2 days on Wednesday on our live show, Bunker Bash live show. By the way, Bunker Bash name is changing. I'll tell you about that in just a second. There's 5. So I got my notes sitting right in front of me. There's 2 main points and there's 6 subpoints. The 6 subpoints I'll do quickly and then I'm going to teach them. What you like, what people ask you about, part of your story, interested in what people want, what people will pay for. So I'm going to teach you the 6 different ways to look for the perfect target market, and those are the 6 right there. And then how to market to your focus area. Again, I'm going to teach this on Wednesday. Who you know, OPP, which stands for other people's people, and everything else. All right, cool. Let's see. Ben says, love the 3 questions, 3 paths to consulting. Yeah, my spouse is a redhead. Hey, the course, by the way, Terry, it actually, I know it sounds like it's like a mean thing. It's actually how to get to most arguments go across branches and never actually make their way up the tree, up the root. And if you got up the root and understood what each other were talking about, you actually realize half the time, at least you agree on it. You're just arguing about the wrong thing. All right, so David Zett says, I do most of my selling on phone call strategy sessions. What's the best way to address someone who is thinking about scheduling a call, but they want to know what the price of the program is before they schedule? All right. That's a good question. So first of all, I don't tell people the price, David, of the program. But what I do is I give people ranges. And the ranges are always in the top end of the range. So at least 3 times on today's show, you heard me talk about a consulting range. And I said $25,000 to $80,000. Remember when I said that? Now, here's the inside story on that. The current program that I have, my partner advisor program, is roughly $2,500 a month retainer or 25K upfront, which is most people just pay them upfront and then they're taken care of. And that covers them for a year. And then I get a small percentage, literally a tiny percent, 5% of the growth of the company over that period of time. So for example, if they go from $1 million to $2 million, I've got a client doing this right now, I get an extra $50,000. That's where the 80 is, because if somebody paid me $2,500 a month, that's 30 plus 50, that's 5%, right? So I max out at 50. I know this. So the bottom line is I usually get paid between 25K and 80K. So when I say that, I say the range, 25 to 80. If I say a range, you can always bet that I'm going to come in at the low end of the range, okay? So if I say my products are $1,000 to $3,000, you can bet that they're probably going to be about 3, okay? So David, what I would say is, if somebody absolutely needs to know, I would say our programs range. Let's say your programs range from $500 to $3,000. I would say our programs, and let's say I'm talking to somebody named Daryl. Hey, Daryl, our programs range between $500 and $3,000 depending on the level of access and depending what we're giving you. But I already know times are tough, so I'm more than happy to work with you on a deal that works for you. Just say it that way, okay? So what that does is it gives someone a mental range in their head. And again, your highest number should be the low end of the range. So 500 to 3,000, if 500 is your actual number, start there, range it up. That way when you come in at 500, they feel like they're coming in at the low end of the range and they're getting a deal, okay? Ideally, you get them on the phone without having to talk about price. All right? That's your question. Awesome. I got time for just like 1 or 2 more. Denise, when do you know? Okay, so a couple thoughts on this. So first of all, Denise says, how do you know when to increase your fee? So a couple things. First of all, I've not come across a business owner yet who didn't need to increase their fee. Now, I'm not one of those people that takes, so for example, I had one of my doctors, her packages were, her medical packages were about $1,500. I thought that they should be about $5,000. I'm not one of these people that says, charge $50,000 and they don't want to take it. There's a number, right? I mean, there's a number that's right for everybody. Remember I said my consulting is 25 to 80? I'm not out there charging $50 billion. You know what I mean? Like there is a number where it's perfect. What I will tell you is most business owners haven't gotten there yet. So for her, she started at 1,500. I told her that I thought her right number was 5. She didn't feel comfortable with 5. So she went to 3,500. She had no problem. The sales didn't go down. Then she went to 4,000. And then finally she went to 5 because she's like, it worked the same. You know, she got the same number of people to sign up. Actually, she got better people to sign up. Okay, so the first thing I'll tell you is everyone I've come across, I've worked now with over 440 one-on-one consulting and coaching clients, advising clients. I've not come across one that was charging too much. It was always a little bit of a bump. So I'll tell you, most people are underestimating the value of their services. That happens all the time. So there's always a time to move your fee. The second thing is if you start getting busy and you're like, man, I don't have enough time to fulfill all this, then it's a good time to bump up your fee, okay? If you're targeting a higher market, is a good time to bump up your fee. So let's say you're charging $1,000 a month. Well, if you're working with the dudes with a $500, $1,000 a month business, sometimes they'll say no to the $1,000 person month, but they'll say yes to the 5,000 person because a 5,000 person is the kind of person they work with. And I'll tell you, affluent people, when you're not charging enough, affluent people think, no, well, she must not know what she's talking about. That's the way affluent people think. Seriously, people think, if she's not charging that much, maybe she's not that good. That's the way, it's crazy, right? But that's the way people think. So in certain cases, charging more actually will attract the right people to you, okay? I did some online testing back when I was doing a lot of information products online, and I raised the price of a product, I doubled it, and my sales actually doubled. It was crazy. It was like one of those strange things where those sales material was so good, and the price was so low, by the time people got to the price, they were like, wait a second, if this is so great, why is it so cheap, right? Sometimes raising the prices helps you, and those are just a couple of criteria, all right? Cool, David Zetz, boom, you're the man. Gina, this is great, thank you. I've not even thought about this. What you defined consultant, coach, advisor. What do you think about the term mentor? I love that term, okay? So if you have a mentorship program or a mentoring program, first of all, that word is 90 times better than coach, because coach to me sounds like the dude that sits at Starbucks for nothing and keeps you accountable or whatever. Okay, so mentor, I like mentorship programs. In fact, I almost called one of my coaching program right now is called the Partner Advisor Program, because those are the two words that I really wanted to anchor on. But mentor, I was going to call it mentor as well. I like the fact, Nabi, that you keep putting Ed for President up there. So Edwin says, do you add travel expenses to your fee? So Edwin, the way that I do with my clients, so first of all, for about 8 years, everybody always came to me. So if people wanted to come do coaching, they came to San Diego. If they were absolutely averse to travel, I would do it over Zoom or over Skype. Just last year, I changed my approach to doing coaching. So I went 3 years ago, I had 44 one-on-one clients. Last year, I had 23. This year, I have 8. So I decided purposely to go deeper and not wider. And so I'm really invested in a small number of companies instead of working with as many as I did before. And so when I did that, what I chose to do is travel if they wanted me to. And so what I told my clients is, if you want to come here and do a coaching day, we'll do it. If it makes sense for me to come to you so that I can meet with your team or to see to be present with you on your location, then I'll do that. And so what I did, Edwin, was I added, it's very simple, that they'd fly me first class, okay, because they don't want me coming to sit in seat 27B and be all tired when I show up. They want me thinking about them on the way back. And then they got me a suite at a hotel room so that I could have room if we needed to meet, that we had that too, okay? So all I did was just add a travel requirement that they covered first class. Usually I fly like the inexpensive version of first class, so it wasn't even that much. And then a suite. And look, if you're working with the right people, that's not a problem, okay? But if you're working with cheapos, they shouldn't be working with you anyway. All right, so anyway, man, an hour goes fast. All right, cool. If you just joined us, oh man, if you just joined us, we're about done. My name's Ed Rush. This is how to stop trading hours for dollars and start getting paid with your worth. This is a series called Bunker Bash. It's going to change names soon. I'll tell you what it is in a second, because we're going to keep doing this when we get out of the bunker, so I got to change the name. It's going to be, by the way, it's going to be EdTalks pretty soon here, so I'll let you know when that happens. Tomorrow, I've got my friend Michael McIntyre coming in. We're going to talk together about billion-dollar sales strategies. This is a guy who built a $3 billion sales business, and just a cool guy and really smart. Thank you, by the way, for your time and attention. These clips, if you're on Instagram, there's clips that you can see there. If you're on Facebook, there's clips that you can see there. If you're on LinkedIn, there's clips that you can see there. Do me a favor, hit that like button, and when we're done, if you wouldn't mind hitting that share button, that would be a real honor to me. All right, so we're gonna wrap up today's show. You are amazing. Just remember, we're gonna get out of the bunker some point. You're gonna see the light of day, and when you are, you're gonna be better, faster, and stronger. My name is Ed Rush. This is the Bunker Bash. I'll talk to you soon.